Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. I want to thank you for being with us. Breaking news tonight in the desperate search for a 3-year-old Florida girl, Kelly. Skeletal remains, believed to be that of little Kelly, discovered in a heavily wooded area just yards from the Anthony home.
Breaking news and late developments in the case of the missing toddler Kaylee Anthony. A child's remains have been found not very far from the grandparents' house.
You know, that's the spot. The grandparents live 20 houses down here. That woods backs up to their house.
The bottom line is real simple, folks. We've recovered this human skull. Appears to be that of a small child. And now we have to, the investigation continues.
Everybody is looking for her. Are we going to be able to find her, do you think? I hope we can, Mom.
We've been searching for this little girl for months. I mean, everybody is listening. America's listening and wanting this little girl to be found. And I'd bet my bottom dollar that's her they found today.
The medical examiner's office has been in contact with the FBI, and they're going back to take a look at some of the remains as we speak. We have secured the Anthony house pending the more investigation. The detectives will be working there tonight.
Casey, our whole life's turned upside down looking for this little girl. I know. Trust me, if I could be out there with you, I would be in a heartbeat. Trying to help take the strain off of you, trying to find her. That's all I want to do. We're going to see her little face again. I pray to God every day that we do. Casey, Mom.
Straight out to Mark Williams, news director at WNDB News Talk 1150. Mark, bring us up to date.
I'll tell you, Nancy, what an unbelievable story, an unbelievable turn of developments today. A utility worker who wanted to go into a wooded area just basically to relieve himself found himself a plastic bag only 3/10 of a mile from the Anthony household that we're located at tonight. He kicked his plastic bag and a skull rolled out. He called 911 and the rest is history. Cops converged on the scene. The crime scene unit came in. The command post came in. And right now, they don't know if the remains of a young child is that of Kaylee Anthony. They're just saying it's a young child. The body's at the medical examiner's office right now. It will go to Quantico, Virginia, to the FBI lab, where it will be given priority, a rush priority, as they call it. Nancy, if you recall, in a release with a conversation from videotapes from the jail, at one time, Casey said, "I know she's close by and she's in a better place." 3/10 of a mile away. Is that what we're talking about tonight, Nancy?
Just 15 homes away from the Anthony home. Apparently, it's just there at Hidden Oaks Elementary School, where not only Tot Mom Casey Anthony, but her brother Lee both went to elementary school. This is between the Anthony home and the elementary school. It's within walking distance, about a block from the Anthony home. Out to Natisha Lance. She is there at the location where the remains were discovered. Natisha, it's my understanding that this is like a garbage bag, that it is opaque, that the meter reader could not see what was in the bag until he kicked it.
That's correct, Nancy. It is a garbage bag. I was hearing earlier reports that it was wrapped in duct tape as well, and other reports that were saying that this bag was sealed, but obviously if a head rolled out, that report might not be correct. However, this meter reader immediately called for police. Police came to the scene. Forensics investigators, FBI as well, were on the scene. They have taped off this area. There are deputies who will be here around the clock tonight to continue searching this area tomorrow, as well as the Anthony home.
Joining me right now, also there at the location where the remains were discovered, is Tim Miller. He is the director of Texas EquiSearch. He has searched exhaustively for little Kelly. He says his sources say this is little Kelly. Tim, your workers, volunteers, everybody has been in and around this area, but isn't it true that at the time the search was going down, Hurricane Faye had come through and there was extensive flooding?
Nancy, if you recall, and I got a lot of criticism for calling the search off the first time, but we actually lost a four-wheeler back in this same exact area that one of the volunteers was on the four-wheeler, water went totally over it. And the next day is when I called the search off, and it's the best choice I ever made, because if you recall back then, I said, you know what, if this little girl is under the water and a horse steps on her, or a four-wheeler goes over, or even a person steps on her just thinking it's some type of debris underneath the water, then we've jeopardized any future search efforts. And then when we came back the second time, this water where she was found, and I actually went right back to the scene with investigators a couple hours ago, but this water was still high when we came back the second time, and a neighbor actually said it was about a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks at the most, when the water receded enough that you could see anything there. So this is an area that we tried to search. Weather conditions just would not allow it, and I will never ever regret calling the search off at that time, because we could have done far more damage than good.
I remember that very night. I remember talking to you about that night on the show, asking you why you pulled out, and you made it very clear that you were so afraid that in all the water, it was feet deep, that you were afraid if Kaylee's remains were there, they would be ruined or scattered and would never be found. And boy, were you right, Tim Miller. You never made a better call in your life. I want to go back to Natisha Lance. Lance, our producer, has been on the scene from the get-go. She's there with Tim Miller at the location where the remains were found just hours ago, believed to be those of little Kaylee. I want you to describe the location. How is it, Natisha Lance, that this is 15 homes away from the Anthony home, but yet it's heavily wooded? When I see their home, it looks like a suburban neighborhood.
Absolutely. Well, this is an area that is behind the subdivision a little ways. Now, it's a densely wooded area. They say that it's pretty thick back there, but they also say that these remains were about 25 feet off of the curb, so they were a ways back so that if anyone was passing by, they wouldn't see it at a first glance. Now, they are also saying this area, once again, when Tim Miller went back to search, it was closed off because they were planning to do some developing back there for some newer homes. But it is an area that is directly behind the Anthony's neighborhood, like you said, not far from their home, about 15 houses down.
To Kathy Bellich with CNN affiliate WFTV. She is there at the Anthony home joining us. Kathy, what more do we know, if anything, about the bag itself? Does it look as if it had been through the flooding? Was it weather beaten? What do we know about it? And is it true that trash bags were taken during the initial search out of the Anthony home?
I don't know about trash bags being taken from the home. I never saw that on the search warrant list, but I can tell you that investigators feel very good about the evidence they have found in that bag: a child's skull, bones, and I am told there's something else in that bag, possibly clothing. But they feel very, very, very encouraged by this discovery today. I don't know whether the bag was weather beaten, but apparently it was underwater for several months, and it's plastic, and plastic doesn't go away, as we know, so that's what I can tell you so far.
You know, to Mike Brooks, that's highly probative. If the bag looks as if it has been through the Hurricane Faye, it was there before the waters, that can also date when it was placed there. And today, a spokesperson actually said there were no clothes in the bag with the skeleton. But something about what they found today, Mike Brooks, makes police want another search warrant to go back in the home.
Absolutely, Nancy. There's something there in that bag that they can match to say, hey, we want to go back and get something else from that house to maybe make a comparison. But we'll know when all the evidence comes back from the FBI lab in Quantico, and it could be this weekend or maybe Monday.